Here we are, back for the Declaration of Independence. Action of Second Continental Congress, July 4th of 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Pursue it, okay? That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles, and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. Okay, so you're not just because you're unhappy with something, you don't just get to change it. Accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. Okay, we as people, we will take on a lot of suffering before we try to change something. Okay, so we are moving out of a time of where it took like all of this torture in order for us to create change, like a civil war, but we are in the same astrological alignment as we were when the Civil War kicked off, but we are in a different type of civil war. We're honest, we have an internal civil war going on right now, and it's like, do I keep trusting the leadership that has failed our country? Like if our leadership was thriving, then our country would be thriving. Our people would be thriving. If it was a government for the people, then we wouldn't have people living in conditions like I am. I have a lot. I'm grateful for everything that I have. I'm just saying that the results that I live in are not based upon the actions that I have taken. It's not an equal balance. Okay. So that's why you're going to start to see how things naturally balance themselves out spiritually when you can't get things to move properly in the physical world. All right. So they're saying, like, don't constantly put yourself in suffering. We can make changes based on love instead of suffering. Okay. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He is about to like shit talk, right? Like that's what the Declaration of Independence is. It's like this shit talking to the British government, and it's so awesome. Okay. But they do it in this like old English style of speaking. So it's English, but it's like it's not understandable to our modern English speaking brains. Okay. He has refused. Okay. So he's talking to the present King of Great Britain. Okay. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. So he's not creating laws for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. All right. Is he saying like you have to work hard to get to him? That it's not just like he's not coming into the local bakery and coffee shop to come talk to the people and find out what's up. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He's in his ego power, all right? He has refused for a long time after such disillusions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise. The state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions from within. So if you don't have a strong people, if you're not protecting your people, you are creating weak boundaries for the enemies that surround you. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has effected to render the military independence of his superior to the civil power. Oh, I'm sorry, military independence of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they shall commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is, at this time, transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy, perfidy, scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. I just heard the bus arrive to drop off my daughter, so I may have to pause. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. And because this is from the perspective of somebody who does not understand indigenous people, right? So when people like live with the cycles of the wild of nature, they understand how animals have to like protect themselves and that we have an animal within us that has to protect itself. That's what they were doing. Like this is what new Americans were doing against the British government, and natives were protecting themselves against this government, okay? So that it's just a cycle. It just keeps repeating downstream. Okay. Hang on. Okay, let's keep it rolling like the train that just went by. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of injustice, they too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. And I like when I look at that word, I feel like first of all, it has to do with blood because sanguine, like sangre, there's all kinds of words that mean blood that sound like that. All right, consanguinity. I believe that means like coming together. So that to me means like unification, brethren, Okay, we must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. Okay, so they're saying like, they're the enemies unless we're peaceful. Okay, if we're peaceful, then we're friends. We therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do, and for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. And then it's the signatures of all these people. And I read this previously in a video. Okay, I know it's hard to see, but what I want to do is go through at another time and look into who all those people are, because John Hancock is like first, and we all know that from like Tommy Boy. Do you remember John Hancock, Herbie Hancock? But anyway, but we all know him to have had like the biggest signature, and they're like, bro, why'd you just because you signed first doesn't mean that you shouldn't leave room for all of us. So anyway, I want us to rediscover our history a little bit. And we're going to kind of like work our way through it, because I think we're so detached from it because it happened to us when we were in school and we're just like, school sucks. I want to be outside playing. But now the world sucks. Life sucks. Okay. When you get to be an adult, that's what happens. It's like all the freedoms that you were like rattling the cage for when you were a kid, you just wanted to like be an adult. Then when you get to be an adult and you have the ability to make changes, you feel like you can't, because they already trained you how to be stuck in a cage and how to find contentment within that cage, okay? But you need to understand, did you even know that the Declaration of Independence said all that? It's like 99.99% like shit talking to England, all right? I didn't realize that it was that much until I read it for the first time. So then next we'll move on to the Constitution. And we just need to have some objective reasoning, some critical thinking about this stuff, okay? To really see like that is what our founders intended. Are we living that? Do we even know what it means to do that? How in the world would we create change in our government if we did want to create change, if we do want to create change, right? And that is why like Rage Against the Machine is so important to me, because when I go back and I listen to all that stuff, Zach De La Rocha was like his thoughts were so profound. They were so profound. Sometimes people just listen and they think it's just angry music. It's not. Yes, it's inspired by anger for the oppression of what was going on when this whole country was founded, because people were being oppressed in another country. Okay. nearly impossible not to repeat cycles because it's what we know. It's like the blueprint that we're raised up in. So what you have to do is you have to think critically and you have to look objectively at what's going on. You have to get your emotions out of it, because I ended up not speaking at the school board meeting last night because everybody's emotions had calmed down about that thing, right? And my son wanted to go and do something else instead. And I want to support what my son wants to do. I wanted to speak at that meeting because I was in support of what mattered to him and his friends that were in the music department, but they sort of like solved that problem. And what I was going to have to say, it's not like I can solve it there. So I'm going to do my work on this side of it. And then once I have an established concept that other people can join and we can have intelligent conversation about how to create change, then I will go to a school board meeting to present that idea. Okay. If that's how it ends up. This is what's hard about being, speaking things, because a lot of the things that I've spoken have become lies because I haven't done them, but I just haven't done them yet. Okay. So, you know, don't don't get on me about that, because I get on myself about it enough. Like in my head, there's this inner critic and bully that's always like, you're not doing what you said you were going to do. So don't worry. It's always there with me. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to try to speed through all the tarot cards that I got from a newer deck because it's in order, but I want to get to using that deck. So in the amount of time that I have left until I have to go and pick up my daughter from jazz band, which is not very much time, I'm going to see if I can get through them. There's 78 cards in the deck, I think. So I'm going to come right back and do that. All right. And I'm just releasing these videos steadily so that it makes the channel happy. It makes the algorithm happy. All right. And hopefully, because I know you don't have all the time in the world, hopefully I'm releasing them in more like bite-sized pieces. Okay. All right. I love you. I'll see you again soon. Bye.